gather here together to discuss the issues and the challenges and the blessings that we enjoy. And we pray that that will help us to work together to accomplish great things. We're grateful for the people of Box Elder County, and we're grateful for the area in which we live and the opportunities that we have. We ask for thy spirit to be with us today to guide us and direct us, that what we do will be according to thy mind and will. We thank you again for many blessings. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen.
Please rise and join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Item number 3 on the agenda, 2C. Why do I always forget the minutes?
I would make a motion that we approve the minutes from May 14th.
Second.
I have a motion made by Commissioner Perry and approved by Commissioner Vincent to approve the minutes from May 14th, 2025. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 3, administrative review, reports, future agenda items.
Just so you know, from the last commission meeting we had people talk to us about some issues with ag zoning and ag protection areas, and we went and asked Scott Lyons to help us set up a meeting with all of the farm and anybody who's concerned about this in our county, and he has a meeting scheduled for June 10th at 6:30 p.m. at the fairgrounds in the Fine Arts Building. So hopefully we'll work with our PR folks, and we'll get that out through our social media and hopefully get everybody invited. But if you know anybody in that arena that would like to be there, make sure we invite them to be there on June 10th at 6:30 at the fairgrounds.
Okay, thank you. Anything?
Nope.
Former agenda items? Emergency management issues? ARPA, LATCF? Okay, item number 7, Commissioner Perry.
Okay, this is probably the highlight of our commission meeting once a month when we get to do this. We had a whole bunch of nominations come in early in the year, and this one's been a couple months waiting to get taken care of, but it's critical that we do, and I felt like it was really appropriate that we could take care of that here today. So this nomination came in. The person sent it in and said, I want to nominate Oakley Sully as the employee of the month. She, at this time, she'd recently reviewed a subdivision plat, and she caught multiple errors that had been missed previously. She always goes the extra mile, and in this case, she double-checked the dimensions on the plat that had already been checked for errors. The errors she caught would have shown a bad light on the county. Oakley has always been willing to help those that call or come into the recorder's office and does so in a very professional, patient, and understanding manner, especially in difficult situations. She is a team player and always willing to learn new things and help on large projects. She's fun and delightful to work with and is always smiling. She is a great asset to the recorder's office of Box Elder County. With that, we'd like to have Oakley come up and receive her certificate and congratulate her for Employee of the Month this month. We're gonna have you stand right here in the middle and get a picture. We're gonna make these other two sign this. Okay, you guys gotta sign this before she can leave.
Okay.
And Oakley, you know. As soon as they get it signed, we're set. And this is just, like I said, one of many examples, and we're always looking for opportunities. If you have employees that have gone above and beyond, it doesn't have to always come from somebody from within. We love it coming from the citizens as well, and we get some of those. And so we appreciate being able to do this once a month and recognize our employees that really go above and beyond.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Perry, and thank you, Oakley. Item number 8, public interest presentations. We're delighted today to have Senator Curtis with us, and we're going to give him an opportunity to speak to the group. Senator Curtis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Commissioners. Nice to be here with all of you. My name is John Curtis, and I have the honor to represent you in Washington, D.C. as your senator. And I've been here with my team this morning. We've been doing a couple of visits. We'll do some more visits this afternoon, trying to better understand your community how we can interface with you and how we can be of service to you. And I will just tell you, if first impressions mean anything, you have an amazing place that you live. I've been, of course, through here, but last night we drove in as it was cooling down and coming down past the sycamore trees on the main drag. The yards are clean. It's the city's clean. There's just a really nice flavor to your city. You probably all know that, but just from an outsider's perspective, you have a beautiful place in the county and city where you live here. Just quickly, a couple of things that I might mention that I do in Washington that interact and impact all of you. I serve on some committees that are important to you and to the state. For instance, I'm on what's called Environment and Public Works. So your water issues and some of your land issues and things like that are right in that wheelhouse. I also serve on Commerce. So some of the issues that you might be dealing with, particularly right now, some of the online issues with the social media companies, that's dealt with in that Commerce. I serve on the Small Business Committee. Your city, your county, like everywhere else in the state, is highly dependent on the success of small businesses. And that's a lot of fun for me because I had a small business myself. My father was a small business owner. My grandpa was a small business owner. And they're near and dear to me as well. Also serve on foreign relations, and that may not sound like it impacts you a lot, but for instance, we were just at Storm and talking about tariffs and how that impacts their business and a lot of businesses, and so there are a lot of issues right now with the foreign relations that are a big deal. We spent a lot of time on the China issue and the China problem. It's also come up in both of our meetings this morning with businesses and trying to compete with people who, quite frankly, still are intellectual property, cheat on labor practices, and we're trying to have our U.S. businesses compete with them. And I spend a lot of time on that. I've made a mark for myself on pushing back on China, and I love to brag that there's actually a warrant for my arrest in China. And I do believe China can be a good partner of the United States, but only if we demand accountability and get them to function the way any good partner would function, which is not happening right now. I also spend a lot of my time on energy policy, a big deal throughout the state, and I'm absolutely convinced that Utah can lead this energy revolution that we're in right now, where the world needs more power. It's never quite been like this. The needs in the state are more that we can produce right now. The needs in the country are more that we can produce than the needs in the world are. And it's really fun for me to see both the traditional energy sources, coal, oil, and gas coming from Utah, which, by the way, is cleaner than anywhere in the world, but also new innovative energy options. I'm traveling Friday down to Beaver County with Bill Gates because he has a geothermal project down there. And that's really exciting. There's enough geothermal capacity in that part of our state to actually duplicate the same amount of power that comes from a nuclear power plant. And so that's really exciting. I also work a lot on issues dealing with public lands. As many of you know, our state is 2/3 owned by the federal government. We have a lot of counties that are over 90% federal land, and you can imagine there's a lot of clashes between the federal government and local government. And then the last thing I'd say is thank you for your service. I happen to have been the mayor of Provo, and I will always have a soft spot in my heart for local government, counties and cities. It's where the real work takes place. We get to have the fun, but you guys do all the real work. So thank you, and it's great to be in your county and hang out with you today. And please look to me and my entire team as a resource. We want to, as we get to know you better, find ways that we can help you and interact with you and help with sometimes what's a big federal government that sometimes seems very difficult to interact with back in Washington, D.C. I'll just brag and say that I came from the House where my team was rated the #1 team in the United States for constituent outreach. So as you have issues dealing with the federal government, you should be giving us a call. If it's a passport or a visa, whatever it is, IRS issues that you have with the federal government, we love to take those as well and serve you in that way as well. So thank you for being the chance to be with you today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you so much, Senator Curtis. And folks, we
We
reckon.
know he's got to run.
Yeah, Senator Curtis has got a busy schedule, so we're going to excuse him and thank him for taking a few minutes to visit with us today, and we'll continue on with our meeting. Okay, item 9, Auditor's Office. Okay. Charlene.
I'd like you to state your name so that they have it for the record, so if you tell them who they are.
My name is Blaine Anderson.
Okay, Blaine, what can we do for you?
I'd like to contest the sale of Sunset Park Water and explain to you why we ended up with a tax late notice or delinquent. I'll try and give you a really quick history of what happened, but there was the developer of the property was finishing stages of development property, get to where he could turn over to the people that bought lots in Sunset Park Water development. And anyway, in the meantime, he got dementia, and so his son-in-law took over and the power of attorney, and he wanted to get rid of the property. So he sold property, and he thought he owned Sunset Park Water. So he sold it to this new buyer, and he took over ownership of Sunset Park Water, but the Sunset Park Water had been turned over to a shareholders association. So only way you own land or water is if you have a lot in Sunset Park. So there's currently 17 homes and 17 shareholders. So there's not one owner. So anyway, when this first buyer went to sell his property, when he went before to do all the paperwork, the state says, you can't sell this. And so at that point, he realized that in order to sell his property, we had to come to an agreement on Sunset Park Water and break it off from the other like 17 acres there with a home. So we sat down. The new home buyers really wanted the property, so they agreed to deed 1 acre to Sunset Park. And at that point, we sat down. Title company wrote a deed for Sunset Park Water. They everything was recorded. My name, my address. We went with the engineering firm that broke everything off. There's like 9.3 acres, and all that does is include our well and our cistern and a 100,000 gallon tank and a little bit of land, and it just protects our water source from being contaminated from animals or anybody building on it. And it was all finalized. About 2 years went by, and I was on a map looking, and it still had the homeowner that bought the property's name on there. So I came in here to the recorder's office and sat down, and they go, I wonder why it wasn't Sunset Park. They told me, well, let's look. And we looked, and the surveying, the engineering firm had wrong property description. So they wouldn't record it because it wasn't recorded correctly. So I went over to the engineering firm, and they looked at it, and they said, okay, I'll take care of this. It wasn't very long. I saw Sunset Park Water. And so we are a nonprofit, not charitable, but we're a nonprofit registered with the state. And I just assumed I wasn't getting notices on taxes, but in my mind, nonprofit, would be exempt from taxes. So anyway, fast forward to now. I'm sitting in the parking lot over by Walmart waiting for my wife to go to Ogden, and I get a text from my neighbor. And she says, you better look into this. I look down, and our property's up for sale. And there's 2 hours and 40 minutes remaining in this auction. And that is the very first I had heard of our property being tax delinquent. So I ran over here. I met with the auditor's office, and they explained to me that several notices have been sent out to the address of the owner, we subdivided from. And whether they have a home in Salt Lake, but they never received them. I understand there was no record of them receiving the certified letter. It was never signed for. So nobody received notice of this. And so 2 weeks ago was the first I knew about it. We immediately I got involved in the auction because we did not want a third party involved. I was able to win the bid, but I guarantee you, had the address been correct, we would have paid taxes, but I just never knew. If you get on there and look at Sunset Park water with the state or with water rights, it doesn't take very long to find my name and my address and my phone number. But, so my contest, how do you say that? I feel is a lot of human error. Mainly, when title company didn't record it correctly, that delinquent period of 2 years before it finally got corrected, all that paperwork got lost, discarded, or something. So that's why it led to me not knowing about our tax delinquent situation.
So this housing district, or whatever you called it, does it have a chair? Does it have an organization? What does it have?
Sunset Park?
Yeah.
It's just a shareholders association.
So you have a chairman, you have who takes care of all this stuff?
I do. So
You
I'm
do?
a certified operator. My name's on everything.
Oh,
I've been doing it for 30 years, but I just meet the requirements of the state for safe water. I'm the treasurer. I have board members, but I'm pretty much just a caretaker. I'm not an owner. Everybody that's on there is equal, but you can't sell water. If you sell your land, the water goes with it.
so where's Sunset Park Meadows anyway? Where is it? Where is Sunset Park?
It is out in Thatcher.
Oh, at Thatcher.
Yeah, it's a little 17 hookups. It was originally developed back in 1980, and it took several years to get going. But originally it was a sole proprietorship, but as it got developed, he turned it over to Shareholders Association. Our bylaws state that water stays with the property, so it can never be sold to one individual.
So what do you want us to do?
What's that? I'm sorry.
What would you like us to do?
I would like the reversal of us having to pay for our property. We will pay any fines related to that, the auction.
So did it sell
To them.
to them? You
They got involved in the bidding and it sold for over $10,000. The taxes due were around 600 and something. So they had to come up with the money in order to keep the property. But per our ordinance for tax sale, you guys can reject any bid for any reason, as long as we bring it to you at a regularly scheduled commission meeting. So that's what he's asking, is that
so he shouldn't have
bidding
had
on
to,
it gets strike down. The address was going to the old homeowner and nothing, I don't know. We never got like he said, I never got the certified card signed and back to me, even though I followed all my steps. They just didn't catch it till the day of the sale, which is better than not at all, but that's the situation they're in. So he's willing to pay the 600 and whatever, and then maybe we could refund him back the difference that they ended up paying for their own association property.
okay. Then how do you feel about that, Steve?
We've looked into this, and let me just clarify a little bit. We need to be careful how we do it, because if you just reject his bid, it goes to the next lower bidder. So we don't want to do that. According to our research, a tax sale can be voided or set aside if there's some irregularities that led up to it. Sounds like there were some irregularities here. There's a couple of reasons. There may not even be a tax owing, because the property maybe should have been exempt to start with. I talked to Corey a little bit, asked him to be here and maybe explain what he's found. He's done some digging into it as well. But we need to find, if you're gonna set it aside and say it was an invalid sale, we need to find that there were some irregularities that occurred that caused it to be an invalid sale.
So what would you recommend? Do we table it while we do that research?
No,
or-
I think we've pretty much
we
done
do
it.
that.
Motion that we want to avoid the sale because of the irregularities that were discovered.
But
and
we
found.
probably have Corey tell us on the record what he's found, so
Okay.
we've got a basis for that.
Okay.
Okay, so Corey Wild, assessor. So I was made aware, all this took place, so we started doing some digging into it. There are a lot of issues, if you want to call it, with this. Kind of to start with, like Blaine mentioned, from what we can find, back in 2020, This parcel, as it sits right here, didn't exist with this ownership. It should have been recorded back in 2013-ish, based on the information I could find with the recorder's office. It was corrected in 2021 by Tyson that worked down there at the time, under the correct ownership and the correct parcel. Before that, it was owned by the private individual. So therefore, generally, a private individual is not going to be granted exempt status. Right. And honestly, I don't know if anybody knew this was a water park, because it didn't, water company, until 2021 when that name came on board. And if it was just a name change, the assessor's office wouldn't necessarily know if it needed to be exempt or not, because it didn't change boundaries, legal, anything. So what we found was, and they are a registered water company with the state, I've looked into that. They have all the legal parameters they've caught. It most likely should have always been exempt. There's been lots of paperwork problems, for lack of a better term. So going forward, this parcel has been corrected from 2025 moving forward to exempt. So there, because it is a water company that services individuals, and it meets the state requirements for a water company, source protection, well protection, all that. So as far as the assessor's office is concerned, it'll be exempt moving forward, so there won't be property taxes owed on it. If all the paperwork would have been in order to begin with, probably would have been exempt at that time as well. Sounds like it's always been a water company providing for those residents up in the subdivision. So that's what the assessor's office has found.
Corey, let me ask you this. If they, because they didn't apply for an exemption, were those taxes validly assessed, or should the county have, are they automatically exempt when they're a water company?
In this instance, it's exempt by use, similar to like Acme, Yukon Water Company, Water Conservancy District, River Canal Company. By use as a public water system, it's exempt by use, so it's not necessarily needed to be applied for every year.
So any taxes going back should never have been assessed?
Most likely.
Okay. So I think that addresses the issue of any owing back taxes they were improperly assessed, weren't owing. Also addresses the issue that it shouldn't have gone to tax sale because there was no delinquency. I don't know if you have any other questions about it. I think our recommendation would be that it just be voided because there was some improper procedures, the taxes hadn't been collected. I'm not sure what you need to do that, Shirlene. Say that again? Yes. What do you need from them to void that? Do you know? I haven't looked into that. I'm not sure if you need a resolution or if you need an ordinance.
It doesn't say in the ordinance that we need a resolution.
Any suggestions?
I think when they consent to the others, we normally just have them sign the list. And that usually that list has the ones that are struck off to the county.
Okay.
So I don't think there's anything different than that. So we probably could do it without a resolution, but if we want it memorialized, we could bring a resolution next time.
So I guess and when does that come? When do you have those approved? Is that today, or when do you do that normally?
No.
When does
We
that happen?
haven't received all the money on the parcels yet, so it'll be probably the last commission meeting in June.
Okay. What I would suggest is you take action on it. We don't need to form a resolution or anything, but you take action on it, and then when that comes before you, we mark it in that.
So do you want us just to void the sale? Is that what you'd like us to do?
Say that again?
You want us just to void the sale?
Make a motion to void the sale, and then is there any reason to pay any penalties or anything like that?
Doesn't sound like it because it shouldn't have been assessed in the first place.
Okay. I'd make a motion that we void the tax sale in this parcel 107-0083, account R0093250, because of the irregularities that we've discovered, and that's my motion.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Perry and a second by Commissioner Vincent to void the property sale, tax sale owned by the nonprofit Sunset Water Company, parcel 05-107-0083 for account R0093250. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Thanks, Blaine.
Thanks for coming in.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Corey. Thank you, Andy and Steve, as well.
Appreciate you.
Scott, Community Development, item number 10.
All right, good morning.
Good morning.
Got 3 more minutes till we're afternoon.
No,
Okay, so my first agenda item is Resolution 25-05. This is, so the way these resolutions work, this is in association with the state moderate income housing plan requirements. So they basically, the way it's set up is they have a menu of items that we have to choose from to, I think there's like 25-ish items. We have to choose 3 each year and implement or commit to those 3 items to show that we're making an effort to keep, housing prices down. This is legislation that was passed a few years ago and applies to places with a certain amount of population. So anyway, to meet their reporting requirements, these are the same ordinances that were adopted at this time last year. The first one, 25-05, is a resolution of Box Elder County committing not to charge impact fees related to moderate income housing. Yeah,
so can I mean, do you charge an impact fee on housing?
we do not.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's kind of,
This is just to meet the state's requirements,
Yeah,
basically, because
this
they
is
don't do
state
it. But
requirement.
Now, if we were going to at some point start charging impact fees, then we would need to reconsider and say, okay, do we want to exempt moderate income housing from whatever impact fees we do start charging? But for the time being, in order to meet the state requirements, essentially each year we have to recommit to this.
Yeah, my understanding is we're pretty limited on whether we can even charge impact fees because we don't have a lot of infrastructure to charge on, correct?
Yeah, probably the only one. Generally, impact fees are associated with water or stormwater or different things like that.
Right.
So we could probably charge an impact fee in association with transportation or with stormwater in some cases. And Commissioner Perry and I and our road superintendent, Darren, have sat down with the county engineer and discussed a transportation impact fee probably a year and a half ago. At that time, the engineer recommended that we not do it. Didn't see the value in it at that time. They're highly restricted in how they're used and different things like that. So anyway, this resolution is essentially us recommitting to fulfill a state requirement.
okay.
I'd make a motion that we adopt Resolution 2505, Box Elder County, committing to not charge impact fees related to moderate income housing.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Perry and a second by Commissioner Vincent to approve resolution number 2505, Box Elder County committing to not charge impact fees related to moderate income housing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Okay, so our next item, another resolution, 25-06, for the same purpose, in order to comply with moderate income housing reporting requirements. This one is committing to not charge impact fees related to accessory dwelling units. So we do allow accessory dwelling units in many of our residential and rural residential zones and agricultural zones. And this essentially is stating that we will continue to not charge impact fees for accessory dwelling units when they are applied for and constructed.
You ready for a motion?
I'm ready.
I'd make a motion that we approve Resolution 2506, Box Elder County committing to not charge impact fees relating to accessory dwelling units.
Second.
So I have a motion by Commissioner Perry and a second by Commissioner Vincent to approve resolution number 2506, Box Elder County committing to not charge impact fees related to accessory dwelling units. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 10C.
Let's see, 10C is ordinance, so this one is actually ordinance 624, so not 623. That apparently we had some double ordinancing and,
Sorry, Marla told me, and we have written a 624 on our
okay.
list.
Yeah, we've got it
Excellent.
updated.
Okay, so this ordinance is in association with a zoning map amendment. So the property owner has requested to rezone approximately 6.29 acres in the Corinne area. So this property is just west of the Walmart distribution center. There's probably 2 parcels in between this one and the distribution center. And it's currently zoned RR20. And that's a rural residential half-acre zone, and the new owner is requesting that it be zoned MG, which is our general industrial zone. It does front on the state highway there for ingress and egress. He would be working with UDOT, and this one went to the Planning Commission. Public hearing was held. The only public input was from the owner himself, stating his support for the rezone and his desire to locate his business in Box Elder County. He's currently located in Ogden and looks to bring his business here and locate on this site. And so with that said, at their meeting on May 15th, the Planning Commission forwarded a recommendation of approval to you.
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance 624, zoning map amendment from RR20 to MG.
Second.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Vincent and a second by Commissioner Perry to approve ordinance 624 zoning map amendment from RR20 to MG. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Okay, 622 is the next ordinance. So 622, this is a text amendment to our land use code. This section 6-1-240I. So this is regarding water. What is addressed here, so the Water Conservancy District, Bear River Canal Company, and Pineview Water approached our department probably 2 years ago. They provided us with a letter that had a variety of policy items addressed in that letter. And they said, hey, these are things that we feel would, from a water perspective, would benefit the countywide as far as water policy goes. So over the years, there have been discussion and items plucked from that letter that have been added to different aspects of our code. And this is one of those. And this also has been a point of discussion a few times with the State Division of Water Rights. The State Division of Water Rights, they are, I guess, the easiest way to say it is a much bigger ship to turn than we are locally. But they're more than happy, they've stated many times, they're more than happy to support our local policy decisions when people go to them because they have a harder time implementing these things at the state level. That said, so Canal Company, Pineview Water, the division at the state level supports this and would assist us in enforcing it. And the Water Conservancy District at the last Planning Commission meeting, they wrote a letter of support for this text amendment as well. A public hearing was held. No comment was received aside from the Water Conservancy District's letter at that meeting. And essentially, what this is saying is for wells specifically, with regard to development, is if you're in a water service area, then you would be limited to one home on one well if the water service area was not able to provide you, water service company was not able to provide you with water. And then if you're outside of a water service area, so let's jump out to like Park Valley or something like that, there are scenarios. One of our planning commissioners that lives out in Snowville, he brought up some scenarios where you may want to have up to 3 homes on one well. You know, whether those are 3 part of the same family or part of the same ranch, whatever it may be. But outside of that, wells, that would be kind of the limitation for wells. The issue that we've seen and that concerns the Conservancy District and the Canal Company is we've had some subdivisions by developers that are 20 lots, and they punch 20 holes in the ground. And those lots are within a water service area, so they could get water. Some extra work would need to be done, whether that be upgrading infrastructure or whether that be wheeling water from the Conservancy District to one of the private water companies. So there would be some extra effort and some extra expense. And instead of going through that to get what would be a more reliable water source long-term, individual wells are drilled on across 20 lots. So this would basically put an end to that, still allow small-scale development, but not the large-scale development on individual wells.
Cool.
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance 622, text amendment to section 6-1-240.
Second.
Aye.
I second it.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Vincent and a second by Commissioner Perry to approve ordinance number 622, text amendment to section 6-1-240I. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, item E.
Item E, subdivision improvement agreement 25-25. This is for the Cedar Ridge subdivision, Phase 2. This is just north of Deweyville. This agreement essentially is the contract between the county and the developer that covers the improvements to ensure that they are done at the developer's expense and are completed fully. And if not, then the county has developer money to access in order to complete those improvements. So,
Scott, can I just ask real quick? This was on the agenda a couple weeks ago and was pulled because of some changes requested.
correct, yeah, this one was on a few weeks ago, and it was originally, financial security was in the form of an escrow. The developer wanted to use a bond instead, so it was pulled, and now it's back on, and the, part of that agreement for the actual financial security is a bond agreement.
Okay, so nothing I need to review. I reviewed it then, but I hadn't reviewed it.
Yeah,
since.
nothing's changed except for the escrow to bond.
Okay, well, I'll entertain a motion.
I'd make a motion that we approve subdivision improvement agreement 2525 for the Cedar Ridge subdivision, Phase 2.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Perry and a second by Commissioner Vincent to approve subdivision improvement agreement 25-25 for the Cedar Ridge subdivision, Phase 2. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item F.
Okay, this is an amended match agreement for the Historic Orchard Pathway. This came to you last year. It may have even just been earlier this year. It wasn't too long ago. So this amended agreement, after we approved, or after the county approved it, you approved it, it went to Willard City. Willard City had one item they wanted changed in there with regard to the funding and anyway, they decided to change their mind on how it was listed, capping funding for the total project. So they changed a few words in that agreement, and now they're okay with it. So we had to amend that section and bring it back to you. Everything on it has no bearing on us. For us, everything else is the same as it was. There was some slight language changes, probably less than 10 words with regard to Willard City's commitment. And so that's why it has come back to you.
Is that, I would approve the Historic Orchard Pathway, HOP, amended match agreement, number 25-36.
So is that a motion?
Oh, yeah, he just made the motion. I'll
Supposed
second
to
it.
say, I make a motion.
Oh, sorry. I'm trying to do paperwork too. I'm not good at juggling. I would make a motion that we approve Historic Orchard Pathway, HOP, amended match agreement, number 25-36.
I'll second it.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Vincent and a second by Commissioner Perry to approve Historic Orchard Pathway amended match agreement number 25-36. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Number G.
And G, here we are at the end. So this is a pending ordinance to consider a zoning map amendment in the East Garland area as part of the East Garland Community Plan effort. So as you're aware, we kicked off a planning effort with the East Garland community. We've been working with their steering committee, which is comprised of approximately 10 East Garland residents. We've held 2 meetings with that steering committee, and at this last, at the first meeting, it was discussed whether or not a pending ordinance for zoning would be put in place that would kind of put things on hold out there. What this would do essentially is any land use applications such as subdivisions or zone changes or site plans for like a large-scale commercial use, it would put those plans or those applications on hold. Our land use code has outlined what we are, as staff, are supposed to do with those. So if we get a development application, we provide that developer with a letter that outlines what is going on with this pending ordinance and why it's in place. And then when either zoning is adopted within that 6-month time frame, basically allows 6 months to complete that community plan and put some zoning in place. If it happens before the 6 months, then their application would be processed at that time. If it doesn't happen within that 6 months, then that's the 6-month moratorium would expire and their application would then be processed at that time. So gives staff and that steering committee up to 6 months to work on that community plan and work towards zoning a map amendment for their community without applications, things that would maybe go against what the community is working towards in that time frame.
So you need a motion for this? This needs to be approved, or you just by information?
I would prefer a motion personally. I think just something that says
On the record?
proceed with the pending ordinance, so it's on record. The way our code's written, it just says once it appears on an agenda. But in discussions with the ombudsman's office, they say it's always better to have an actual pending ordinance with a motion saying it's started.
If I could, I would like to make a motion. On the pending ordinance for East Garland Plan and Zoning.
I'll second it.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Vincent and a second by Commissioner Perry for approving a pending ordinance for the East Garland Plan and Plan and Zoning Plan. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
Wyatt, I invite you to come up.
Okay, Wyatt Freeze, Box Elder County Weed Department. I've just got a grant contract or grantee contract between us and the Utah Weed Supervisors Association for the amount of $9,000. So basically, I applied for, or the department applied for this this grant funding, and basically it'll help us address these Class 1B state noxious weeds that are coming into our county from other counties or other states, basically reimbursing us for work that we've already been doing. So this is for the calendar year of 2025.
Cool. Sounds great.
I make a motion that we accept the noxious weed grant contract 2535 as explained.
Second.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Perry and a second by Commissioner Vincent to approve the noxious weed grant contract number 25-35. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wyatt. Okay, now we're to the agenda where we have public comment. Those wishing to make a public comment shall sign the comment roll and will be responsible for following the rules outlined in the County Commission Rules and Procedures. Speakers will have 1 3-minute opportunity to speak regardless of the number of items they wish to address. Speakers shall address their comments to the County Commission only. This is a time to be heard. There will not be a back and forth dialogue with the commissioners. Speakers may file copies of the remarks or supporting information with the county clerk. The county clerk will make the information available to the County Commission. with that in mind, we have one today, Deanna Hardy.
Deanna Hardy. The Box Elder Committee of Liberty opposes any tax increase or any taxes at all of the unincorporated and incorporated areas to contract with any government library service. If a citizen wants to use a library service, then each citizen should pay the required fee to use the service. It is not a correct principle to force citizens to pay for a library service they do not use or want to support. The government is using our tax dollars against us by forcing all citizens to pay for other citizens' reading material. Tax dollars are being used to purchase books that distort our history, dumb down our population, and give false and misleading information. Our tax dollars are being used to purchase books that are immoral and that go against our ethics. The signs, and I quote, "Give me a library card," that were used by the United Way presentation at the recent commission meeting invokes an entitlement mentality. The children at the presentation have no knowledge of how the proper role of government is supposed to operate. These children have no knowledge of the enslavement that awaits them when they become adults. For your knowledge, the United Way is part of the United Nations Agenda 2030-2050. The United Way's survey indicated 74% do not use the bookmobile. So should 74% fund the 26% who do use the bookmobile? Is this fair? Is this liberty and justice for all? Why does our government keep ignoring the liberty and justice for all part? George Washington quoted, "A primary object should be the education of our youth in the science of government. In a republic, what species of knowledge can be equally important, and what duty more pressing than communicating it to those who are to be the future guardians of the liberties of the country?" Our government-controlled education system failed to teach any of us the science of government and how to protect our freedoms and liberty. Many citizens have been self-taught by those who have a great love for this country and for God, who gave us our liberty. Government has and is continuing to take away our liberty, even to this day. Our government needs to change course and actually protect the liberty and justice for all. Libraries need to be in the free market system. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have warranty register right here in front of me. Okay. Okay, thanks. Okay, we have that behind us. I need a motion for item number 15.
I'd make a motion, we go into closed session and talk about pending litigation.
Second.
We got a motion by Commissioner Perry and a second by Commissioner Vincent to go into closed session to talk about pending litigation. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. I didn't know what to say because you didn't say motion. I went, okay. Well, I just didn't know anything. I was laughing at you. I was just.
think it's great.
Okay, how am I gonna say?
I was gonna do it. And And I started laughing because I'm trying to be easy.
So the microphones get shut off, so.
And so I pass it, I'm like, I'm making this motion, I'm beating to it. And then I'll pass it over there at the same time, and I'm like, oh crap, is that the right one?
This is way more exciting than.
Oh, no,
When we do what we can do.
no, it's great.
But I agree, you know, we gotta have a sense of
It's fascinating stuff.
It is what it is. I don't,
This will be a
like I say, I don't